Hello Team FD and welcome back to Transfer Winners and Losers. That's right, we've moved on from the highs and the lows of the weekend's football to silly season. Joining me is a man very capable of being silly is Zach Jella. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you, mate. Lovely long bank holiday. Can't complain. A lot was done. What about yourself?
Yeah, loved it, thank you, mate. I mean, did not pay any respects to the Royals, really, but I did get absolutely laced and feel refreshed, reinvigorated,
what Liz
ready
would have
to
wanted.
go. Yeah, exactly. Right, as per usual, we're going to start with the talking point, and the talking point this week is the Sadio Saga. Feels like we've covered this on the last couple of episodes pretty extensively, but there has been some updates. There's been no major shifts in terms of the transfer, but we have got a little more insight into Sadio's stance on things. Basically, he was with Senegal over the weekend on international duty, and a couple of very telling interviews came out. First of all, he said this.
À part loolu, je pense que damay dugg réseaux sociaux comme ñëpp, comme jeune Sénégalais, comme nouvelle génération ñëpp. Et souvent damay gis commentaires yi comme yow comme journaliste yi yëpp. Je pense que boo xoolee 60 ou 70% Sénégalais yëpp dañoo bëgg ma quitter Liverpool du loolu ngeen bëgg. Voilà lu Sénégalais yi bëgg rek loolu lay def donc loolu donc bu leen wax dara lu si kanam raw li bët loolu lañ ko wax. Donc bu leen yàkkamte ngeen ko gis seen bopp am problème.
And then we had a follow-up of Mane joking about a move to this French side.
Bayern, Real ou Barça, ça
Vous savez, vous m'avez mis
Real ou Barça.
avec les supporters de Liverpool en ce moment, je dirais les deux équipes sont pas mal. Mon équipe c'est Marseille. Après je dirais Marseille.
Now, Zach, we should state that he did do a follow-up interview with Canal Plus to say that he was only joking and he didn't mean to cause any furore, he didn't mean to disrespect Liverpool and maybe the way that's being portrayed online. But what do you make about the way that this transfer rumour is gathering a bit of speed now?
Yeah, I mean, there's a time and a place for a joke, I guess. And for every Liverpool fan kind of watching that interview, having obviously just lost the Champions League final and kind of, I guess, a disappointing end to the season. Obviously also missing out on the Premier League title as well. Like, then having one of your most important players, arguably your second most important player, joking about leaving and saying, you know what, like, Bayern's not the club I want to go to. Actually, I want to go to Marseille, and I'll do what the fans say at Senegal. They look, apparently 60% want me to leave. Like, I can understand why Liverpool fans maybe sit there and go like, it's not really that funny. Like, it's a bit frustrating, really. Like, it's not that great to hear from. At the same time, I'd also say to Liverpool fans, like, look, man, if you can, in my opinion, if you can get the right money for him, I don't think it's a bad idea to let him go. This is a player who obviously doesn't necessarily have his heart 100% still at Liverpool if he's thinking about possible other destinations. And Liverpool have done fantastic already with ready-made replacements in Luis Diaz and Jota. Who can play there? Like Diaz has come in and is already arguably the one of the first three on the team sheet. And then obviously we also heard last night coming from Paul Joyce, who is the Times' Northern correspondent, saying that Liverpool had in fact actually already turned down an opening bid from Bayern Munich of £21 million plus £4 million in add-ons for Sadio Mane. Apparently the English press are saying that around a figure of 35 million is something that Liverpool would consider, and I'd be in strong agreement with them there. I think 35 million is a solid fee to get for him for a guy that only has 1 year left on his deal. And so I think maybe they may end up meeting somewhere in the middle. 31. We know Bayern aren't big fans on spending huge amounts of money, and for the future of Sadio Mane, like, I think actually, as much as he might have joked saying that Bayern isn't the club, like, he'd be more than happy to spend a few years over with the Germans.
Yeah. In other news, James Milner has signed a 1-year contract extension, so some positivity for Liverpool fans. And well, probably a huge presence around the club. Not a huge name,
Yeah,
but
no, indeed.
a huge presence. And they have been linked, strangely enough, with some, I don't know, pretty peripheral media outlets. They have been linked with a move for Christian Pulisic of Chelsea, which is really fascinating. If Chelsea were willing to sell to Liverpool at this point, which I don't think they would be, I feel like that is pretty much conceding that Liverpool are still out of reach, insurmountable. Like, we're not going to be able to catch them next season once more, and we will sell you this player that, I don't know, we're not doing a lot with, but has a very high ceiling. I think that would go down like a lead balloon with Chelsea fans. What do you make of that, being one, Zachary?
From a Chelsea fan point of view, yeah, nowhere near. Do not make that deal at all. That's mental for that to happen. But from, say, like Pulisic's point of view, like this could be arguably the dream move. Like, this is unbelievable to work with Klopp and in this system, and like he'd be fantastic. Like, I could personally only really see for him this move being a success. Like, he'd be very good at Liverpool. There is a player in there, and so yeah, I'd be. But I think every Chelsea fan would be equally, and I think fairly frustrated if you went and sold. Like, you'd just be strengthening a rival, giving them a player who like is still very, very young. Like, it'd be a silly move to do.
Yeah, for sure. But if they end up getting £35 million for Sadio Mane, and like we've said in previous episodes, bring and Kunku in for between 50 and 60, I think that represents solid business for Liverpool.
Yeah.
But yes, we can understand why the fans weren't the most receptive to Mane's remarks, but he has apologised. And we move on. And let's move on to our winners section then. And this week, it has to be Gareth Bale, the 32-year-old captaining his country, Wales, to their first World Cup in 64 years, playing a key part in that opening goal too. It was his whip ball, wasn't it, that was diverted into the net by Andriy Yarmolenko. Now, a lot has been made of his future in the last couple of weeks because, of course, he wound down his contract at Real Madrid after 9 seasons. He's not made it very clear whether he's going to retire or whether he'll stick around and see out another year at another club. But this is what he had to say when he was confronted by a reporter.
Can we categorically say we're postponing your retirement for a little while?
For a little bit.
Now, Zachary, do you think that World Cup qualification means he will continue club football for another year? Because it sounded like that in recent interviews, didn't it?
Yeah, he was asked by the Daily Mail about whether he would be able to go to the World Cup if he wasn't playing week in, week out for a club, and he said, I think that is very unlikely. Just for a fitness point of view, man, like, he needs to make sure he's fit come November, December. I mean,
he needs a whole physio department looking after him, basically, nursing him until the World Cup.
A dedicated one for sure. I mean, last season he was only limited to 5 La Liga appearances for Real Madrid due to a number of injuries with his knee, calf and back. He's kind of, wherever you point to the body, Gareth Bale's had an injury there, to be quite honest. And so, yeah, this is a guy who, when he plays for Wales, he's incredible. Every single time, he's always involved in almost everything. They always look for him. And obviously against Ukraine as well, he delivered the free kick that Yarmolenko put in. Now, he also, during his prep for international duty, he strained his back. He had part of a back spasm. And was out for the best part of the month. And in the end, he only played just 83 minutes before getting subbed off. And kind of, you saw him just praying on the sidelines. And so yeah, I mean, he's already told the press that he has had loads of offers. And what clubs they are, we're not too sure. There's nothing concrete quite come out. There's obviously rumours about joining his boyhood club, Cardiff, but do I think Gareth Bale will be playing in the Championship? Like, I think there's a lot of games there that he may have to be used for. I think a Premier League club might be more of the level that he might be looking for as well. Because not just for fitness, you also want to keep your competitive level up, right? And the Premier League is a perfect place to do that. We've obviously seen him play. We've already seen him play for Spurs as well, not too long ago, and did a pretty decent job there. Double figures for goals. I mean, Fulham have now come up as well if he wants to kind of stay in London. But it's all up to, I guess, what he feels is best, and maybe what has the best medical department, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I think if Wales had crashed out of World Cup qualification and Ukraine had triumphed, that he probably would have retired just because of the way he's been speaking the last 2 or 3 months. But hopefully this has reinvigorated him and he gets, I don't know, a final season that would be befitting of his talents and his ability and his service to the game. Because like you said, it'd be sad to see him retire having just appeared in the league 5 times and scoring 1 goal for Real Madrid after such a trophy-laden career. So let's hope it is a feel-good story come at the end of next season. I wanted to give the final word to Ukraine's Alexander Zinchenko, because his team and his manager are extremely gracious in defeat. So over to him.
In terms of what happens now, you've been so visible. As you say, football sometimes takes a second place. But you've been so visible in how you've spoken and articulated what your country means to you and what your country needs. How can you continue to deliver a message of hope to your people?
Everyone needs to fight on his side. I mean, like, we are like as a football players, we need to still representing our country as much and as better as we can. We need to show the people that everyone needs to live in peace, and we need to stop the war altogether, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Maybe today is Ukraine, but tomorrow Russian aggression can be with your country. So that's why we need to be united and we need to be together.
Got to be honest with you, J-Lab, I struggled for a transfer loser this week because no one's really lost out on any big name targets as of yet. I'm sure that will come to the fore in the coming weeks. But I've got to say, I mean, the rest of the home nations, apart from Wales, their fans suffered over the weekend, didn't they? So England losing to Hungary, pretty drab game, but congratulations to Jared Bowen and James Justin for making their England debuts. And Scotland crashing out of World Cup qualification in the semi-final process with a bit of a whimper to Ukraine. Here's what Captain Andy Robertson had to say about that.
Yeah, look, it's took us 11 games to get here. A positive campaign. Finishing second, getting a home playoff and everything, and we have to try and we have to hurt. Of course we do. We need to reflect tonight, and tomorrow's a new day. We've got the Nations League, and we have to try and push. That's the World Cup gone for another 4 years, and that's really hard for us because we all have dreams of trying to play in that big tournament, and we didn't put in a performance that justified that tonight. But we have to stick together. We know there'll be scrutiny coming our way. We know we'll be under fire and things like that. That's the way of it. But inside in there, we have to stick together. As a group, we've made massive strides over the last couple of years, and there'll come a time where we need to take perspective on that. But tonight's not that night. And yeah, all we can say is obviously sorry to the fans in here and back home for disappointing them. And but we just have to. We try to adjust ourselves down, and we need to try and go again.
But Zach, while we're here, let's quickly talk about the Ousmane Dembele rumours then that are gathering pace, because that is the other side of the coin to Christian Pulisic's exit or any other forward talent leaving the bridge. What have you made of the way they've picked up a bit of steam?
Yeah, I think from a Chelsea fan's point of view, the rumours are fun. This is a guy who seemed, this season to, especially after the turn of the year, find some form. Obviously, I think it was about 14 assists. I think he had the most in La Liga at the end of the season, which is really, really impressive. And I think from a point of view, he could be the guy that unlocks this Chelsea system. We've seen him arguably have his best ever football under Thomas Tuchel, so you can understand why these links are happening. But then I think you can also say this. I think you need to put context in that as well. That was a while ago. That was before he had any real major injuries too. And also you saw Christian Pulisic arguably have his best football under Thomas Tuchel at Dortmund as well. And that's not necessarily planned out the same way that people might have thought at the moment anyway. For me, it all comes down to the numbers. Like, how much is that signing on bonus if he was to join? How much of the wages are if he wants to join? Like, I'd be more keen on things like bonus incentives. So if he does, say, sign a £100,000 a week contract or £150,000 a week contract, but then say he features in 30 plus games or contributes to 15 plus goals, whatever, more money is involved that way. Just because I think if you give him the contract that he was on at Barcelona, which was 300 plus, and he's injured half the season, like, you're just losing out here, and I think it's a bit hard at the moment to trust that he is fully fit, and so a contract like that for me would feel more safe, but at the end of the day, like, you're not paying a transfer fee, and this is a guy who is still relatively young. I think he's 24, and has still lots of potential. So, like, overall, I don't think it's a bad move for Chelsea if they were to get him, but they've also got a race against PSG, who supposedly are also interested.
Yeah, and of course Angel Di Maria has just left PSG. Rumours have it that they want rid of Neymar, so he would help in terms of rebuilding that forward line, wouldn't he? Can see the appeal there. But what do you guys at home think? Should Chelsea move for Ousmane Dembele? If you don't agree, where should he go? Let us know in the comments. Right, let's round off the show with our moment of the week then. But before we let Wales and their celebrations players out, Zach, is there anything you want to plug across Football Daily, Euro Football Daily, or the Snapchat channels?
Why don't you check us out on all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat. We're all over it daily. That is why it is in the name. Yeah, check us out on there. We've got content all over the place. Right, over to Wales then. Some great belly flops in here. Goodbye.
Just ecstasy for Wales. Gareth Bale's deflected free kick the difference. Wayne Hennessy at 35 having the game of his life in goal. That's why you're seeing those celebrations. The red wall roared them on. The red wall on the pitch in those Wales shirts was just insurmountable for Ukraine in that second half as they chased a way back into it. But it's Wales who will take their place at the World Cup.